Chapter 18. How do we do it again? So, Mike, people have started a new Christian community. Why is it important to start another one and do it again?
Well, Nudrat, well, may you ask, but let's just picture the scene. You've you've done your listening, you've found an activity of love that people have gathered around, communities formed, people have been exploring Jesus in the context of that. A little group is now beginning to emerge, becoming Christians, becoming a worshiping community. Why do it again? Let me give you what I think is the most convincing answer. If you encourage new and emerging Christians to do what you did, to travel that same journey of listen, love, build community, and so on, doing it with their friends, then it does absolute wonders for their faith. If you want to see your new and emerging Christians grow in their Christian faith, get them to do what you did and to start a new Christian community among their friends in their own way. I just wanted to share this with you because during the pandemic, the Church of England commissioned a survey, which is now known as the Fruitfulness Survey. And they had about 20 new Christian communities, fresh expressions of church, and they talked to about 200 people who were involved in those new communities. Most of them were Christians. And they said to them, when you joined your community, perhaps it was 1, 2, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, were you praying regularly, for example? Did you have a sense of purpose? Questions like that. And then they said, now, at the time of this survey, 1, 2, 3 years later, are you praying regularly? Do you have a sense of purpose? And I tell you, the results, when I looked at them, were utterly amazing. So, for example, the proportion of people, mostly Christians, who said they prayed regularly when they joined their fresh expression, their new Christian community several years before, 45%. The proportion who are praying regularly now, 65%. The proportion who had a sense of purpose when they joined their community, 44%. The proportion who had a sense of purpose now, at the time of the survey, 79%. The proportion who were helping others regularly, 28%. The proportion who are helping others regularly now, 54%.
Yeah.
And what about the proportion who are feeling spiritually alive? Well, that had grown from 48% to 84%. Now, there were 24 or so different markers, if you like, of spiritual health, all to do with relations with God, relations with yourself, relations with other Christians, relations with the world. And on all of them, there were these stunning improvements, if you like, in spiritual health. So you see, what I take away from that is if you want new Christians or old Christians to grow in their Christian faith, get them involved in starting a new Christian community, because it's absolutely miraculous for spiritual growth.
Yes, yeah. I'm wondering if there are any other reasons, anything that you can pinpoint, any other reasons for us to do it again?
Yeah, I think there are. There's just one thing I didn't say, but I should have said. If you're wanting to think why it is that there's this great improvement in spiritual health, then when you get involved in leading a new Christian community or supporting your leaders in doing it, what you have to do as a Christian is you've got to put your faith into practice. You have to love other people. You have to follow Jesus and trust Jesus. You often come across all sorts of challenges that make you pray like crazy. And it's this that really helps you to grow in your Christian faith. But if I go on and just answer that question, is another reason, then I want to take you back to something that we said in our very first conversation or in our second conversation. And that is that every Christian community is exclusive by its nature. Once you've decided to meet at a certain time, in a certain place, with a particular style and around a particular agenda, you'll attract some people, but you'll exclude all those who can't come at that time, who can't come to that particular place, who don't like the style in which you meet. You know, maybe you're a group of walkers, and your passion is walking together, and they just don't connect with that, or they don't like the sort of things that you're doing. Maybe they want to eat together and you don't, or whatever it is. You're going to exclude all those people who don't identify with what you're doing. And if you want to avoid being an exclusive community, as Christians, that's what we want. We want to be inclusive, because Jesus is inclusive. Jesus died on the cross with his arms outstretched and a welcome to everyone. Well, if we want to be inclusive like Jesus, then the only way to do it is to start a further community with and among people who find the existing Christian community to be inaccessible. So this is why we have to go on starting new Christian communities, because the more new Christian communities we have, the more inclusive the church will be, because the more people will be involved.
Yes, the heart of the gospel, as you've said, showing that inclusivity is really, really important. So that's the why. But what about the how?
So, good question, Nudrat. And I think I want to say, actually, we're still learning a lot about this. I think we've got more to learn. But we've had some great examples which have multiplied, which is, and they've gone and done it again, and that's been a real encouragement. And we quote some of those examples in the GodSend book, if you want to read chapter 18. But I think the most important thing is you have to, if you're the leader, you've got to be passionate about this. You've got to talk about it all the time, from the very beginning when you gather your team. You want to say to folks, my prayer and hope is not that we start a new Christian community, but that we might even start a network of new Christian communities. Let's be ambitious, folks. But at the very least, my prayer is that we'll start a new Christian community that then births another new Christian community. Talk about this from the very beginning. Talk about it when you meet as a team. When you pray together, pray about it. Include this in your prayers. You might be at the listening stage of the missional journey. You may not yet even know what activity of love you're going to put into place, but you can still be praying that you'll get around that journey and that you'll get to the repeat stage, and that will happen. And the reason you've got to be passionate about this as a leader is because unless you show that it's important to you, no one else will think it's important. The only way that you'll persuade people that this is important is by showing them that it's important to you. And the only way you'll show that it's important to you is to go on talking about it. Now, when it's important to you and other people see that it's important, then the dynamic will be created for other people to come forward and say, well, hang on, how do we do this? Show us, Mike, how I'm a new Christian. I'd love to do what you did. How can I do it? And then you can begin to talk with them and pray with them and so on. But that won't happen. There won't be momentum towards doing another community unless you as the leader are talking about it all the time, so that everyone sees it's important, they think it's important, and when they see it's important, that generates the momentum.
That's brilliant. Thank you. So faith grows when people start new Christian communities. That's the reason to do it again. Start a new worshiping community to be more inclusive, be passionate, talk about it, be intentional from the very beginning. And this captures the essence of what we've been talking about today. It's been great talking to you, Mike, and I hope people can look at the book, explore a little bit more, feed their curiosity, and go on and do it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nudrat.